Well, we have invited Ray to his book, Read This or Die. Ray's been on the show before. It's been a couple years at least. But Lee read the book. I read the book too, but it's not that often Lee reads a book and says, "Wow, this book really touched me," and then he starts buying copies for other people. And so we said, "Oh, we've got to get Ray on to talk about this book." So Lee, I want to start with you, even though I want Ray to be the focus. What is it about this book that touched you so much?
Yeah, I think first I met Ray at our mastermind, and just when he introduced the book and what he went through with his Parkinson's and the things he had to think about and change his beliefs and work in a different way than his brain was working at the time. I like those kind of books, and I like those lessons because it's just a matter of time till we all run into some kind of obstacle. Could be a small one, could be a really, really big one, and we all run into a big one at the end. But it gave me some good ways to rethink what I think and to maybe appreciate what I have and to appreciate my family and to tell them more often and to realize I have a lot, even though we always all have problems. And actually, I sent it to my granddaughter, who's 24, and she is a deep thinker about these kinds of things in life and what it means, and she has a lot of empathy for other people, and I know she told me she really enjoyed it too because it was the kind of book that after you read it, you will think differently. And that's kind of what happens when you put new stuff in your brain. It stays in there, and hopefully it's good stuff, and it gets you to rethink how you think and maybe improve your own life. So that's why I like it. I like things that improve my life.
Thank you. That's so kind.
Ray, after reading this book, Lee even said he's going to try to be nicer now.
Is Lee not nice? I keep hearing these jokes being made. You seem like one of the nicest people I've ever met, Lee.
I am. Stick with that. I am. It's just I am misunderstood sometimes. I have issues.
I can empathize. I have subscriptions to issues.
Yeah, but it's amazing the difference. I mean, I tell people about that. You got up and walked out of that operation after you couldn't even hardly walk. I mean, I'm going like, what? I mean, it's all so incredible what's possible now today as healthcare gets better. And
yes, I have a word to say about that because when I finished the book and turned it into the publisher, that was all before that operation happened. So at the time I was finishing the book and going over the final proofs, I couldn't walk, I couldn't type. I had to have somebody with me all the time because I would have seizures. It was a very difficult way to live. The surgery happened months after we turned the book in. So it was life-changing, but it's kind of like the missing chapter from the book.
I kept waiting for it, but I never. I thought, well, we're only 2 pages left. He's got to be talking about it.
And I'm glad it happened that way because, to me, that conveys the message of the book, which is no matter how tough your circumstances are, you can find something to appreciate, some way to have some joy. And look, life's not perfect for me now. The publisher would have loved for me to write a book that said, I had all these problems, my life was all messed up, I changed my way of thinking, I fixed it all. Here's the 7 steps to magically have your life be perfect from now on. And so far, I haven't met that guy who has that for me.
Yeah.
Well, to give a little background on the book, Read This or Die. So Ray is known as a copywriter. His book before this one was How to Write Copy That Sells. And so Ray was very down, having a lot of trouble. I'll let Ray go into that as deep as he cares to. And he wrote himself a sales letter that turned his life around. And the point of the whole book is you can do this too. It doesn't have to be Parkinson's like Ray has. It doesn't have to be you're on the edge of doing something dangerous to yourself. It can just be you have a problem that you can't overcome, or you feel bad, or whatever. This book, it's amazing. It doesn't matter how big, how small your problem is. I feel like the formula to help you out is here in this book.
Yes, your problem could even be that you're sarcastic and people think you're mean and you need to be nicer.
I know.
And you can work on that too.
Maybe I'll write that letter later today and see if Priscilla approves of it. But she'll be shocked that I wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
No, it's great.
I did write myself a sales letter. And the title, Read This or Die, was actually the headline of the letter I wrote to myself. And it's kind of a tip of the hat to a departed friend of mine, Jim Rutz, who wrote a famous direct mail piece of junk mail, basically. The title on it was Read This or Die. It was selling vitamins or something like that. I really love Jim. He's a super smart guy, one of the best copywriters to ever live. So that was kind of my tribute to him and his influence in my life. But yeah, Jody, you nailed it. The whole message of the book is I tell a lot of stories, things that happened along the way, things that I was thinking about. This whole subject of what we put into our mind. You mentioned it earlier, Lee. What we put into our mind so influences who we become and how we behave more than we think it does.
I agree. Absolutely. I know that more now than I ever did, as I have heard this before, read about it, and reading your book, that I know that I can think differently, and it makes me feel better. It's amazing that just sometimes when I'm feeling anxious about something or worried about something, you know what? I think about my granddaughter, how great she is, and my brain goes into that praise, and somehow I feel better. I mean, it's like, or I'm going to Carmel and I'm going to be by the beach and everything's going to be great for a month, and there are a lot of wonderful things we have in our life to think about that if you do it on purpose, I think you almost have to do it on purpose. You got to say, okay, it's time to switch. This is not working.
I think I just heard you. I think I just heard you invite me to Carmel.
You're welcome to come to Carmel, by the way. We'll be there all July 1st to July 31st with a house right on the beach.
Oh my gosh, the Carmel is so beautiful.
It's amazing.
Beautiful place.
Been going there 40 years. Yeah. I was there the day Clint Eastwood became mayor.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You may want to start packing your bags now, Ray.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a go bag ready.
So is your wife glad that you're being more positive these days?
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, she insisted. She's really the catalyst for the big changes that happened in the book. It was a conversation where we were in a very intimate moment, and we were like nose to nose. She looked at me and lovingly said, "I need you to pull your head out of your ass."
That's pretty clear.
And yeah, it was good counsel. We refer to it sometimes as the cranial rectal extraction method.
Yeah. I hear you.
We're so easily influenced by the negative. We're actually wired, biologically. Our brain is wired to constantly be vigilant, looking for threats in the environment. And that was really good when we lived in an environment where we were likely to be eaten or stabbed or killed but that's not the case for most of us. I realize it is for some. There are dangerous places to live in the world right now. But most of us listening to this show or watching this show, we don't have to worry about that. But our brain doesn't know that. So our brain thinks that the inconvenience of there being a long line at Starbucks is equal to the invading tribe running toward us with spears.
I think what you're saying about the brain is I think a lot of people hear this kind of thing and don't believe it, but it's pretty much medically proven that it is a fact. It's not just a feel good, I'm going to say this, think differently. No, if you think differently, you actually do differently. It's amazing.
Turns out Mr. Rogers was right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And actually, I felt better when he came marching in on the TV.
I did too.
Yeah. Have a nice day. Yeah, I mean, it is. I think we're learning so much more about the brain. You certainly had a great situation. You must have learned a whole lot about it.
I learned
as you had to think
more
about
it, frankly, than I wanted to. But I'm grateful for the experience. Sometimes what we want to do and what we need to do are two different things.
And I read the other day something about Parkinson's, that they're getting better, looking for some solutions to improving it. And or I don't know about.
I think I've read the
stopping it.
same. Yeah, I've read the same articles about the discoveries of how it's related to what's in the gut,
Yes.
the bacteria in your gut.
Yes.
That may lead to different lines of investigation and a cure. And
Yeah,
with the rapidly changing amount of knowledge that we have and AI, which everybody's talking about these days, I think some of the longest range changes that are coming are ones that we don't hear talked about much, which is how they're using it to simulate drug trials and experiment with DNA recombination, things that will be viewed as miracles.
I agree. You said you changed your diet as one of those many solutions you tried to implement. And
I tried
what other
so
kinds
many.
of things did you have to do differently than you'd been doing?
I took all kinds of different supplements, pills, powders, lotions, potions. I had electrical shocks delivered to my scalp. I laid on a magnetic mat for a long time. So you get desperate enough, Lee, you'll try just about anything.
Exactly. I think what you say in the book, you don't change until you have to.
Yeah, people don't change. People generally don't change when they want to. They change when they have to.
So you got there.
Yes. So I would say this: you can change because of tragic circumstances and incredible pain and agony, or you could just decide and go ahead and change it in advance and save yourself that trouble.
Oh, that's a lesson on life. What you do now is going to pay you back later, one way or the other.
Yeah, there was some guy that said, "We reap what we sow."
Well, I've had the same feeling you have. I quit drinking alcohol. I took sugar out of my diet in the last couple of years. I drink more water. I have a whole plan on how I get 7-8 hours sleep by doing a bunch of stuff I didn't used to do. And there's no question that all of that combined, I have much more energy today.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Do you still, would you say you struggle with giving up sugar?
Yeah, I did. It took me, but it didn't take me too long because I did some alternatives. I bought cantaloupe and watermelon chunks and little teeny yogurts with no sugar in them. And it was, that's what made me think about the brain. The candy and everything's there because Priscilla loves it. But if I can just get one of those in my mouth, it's amazing how the desire goes away instantly. Or if I can I open a little yogurt, have a couple bitefuls, that it's like just takes away that urge. So, but yeah, absolutely. But I think there's tactics I guess you had to do too to get yourself, like stop drinking. That was hard because I love wine. I mean, that was hard. And that was an easy feel good for a few minutes after you have a glass of wine. But yeah.
People say, they're like, why do you want to drink? Why is that a problem? I'm like, what do you mean, why do I want to drink? Have you never had a drink? I want to drink because it feels great.
It does.
It's not because it tastes good. It's because it makes me feel great. And then I have the second drink, and then I'll decide to have the third drink, and now I'm guaranteed to feel bad tomorrow.
Yeah, the first drink pretty much ruins your judgment.
Yes.
And then you need a box of chocolate cake to go with it. But I went through that with my wife when she almost died a few years ago, and I got hooked on Xanax, and then I'd have a little wine with it, and I felt great until the next morning. But the Xanax was so wonderful that I couldn't wait for 6 hours to go by. I don't know if you had any of that.
Yes, I did. And I had, after my surgery, I had opioids. I had a lot of difficulty getting off those.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that whole, you've got I don't want to get too deep on this, but you have the dopaminergic system in the brain, which is, people think that dopamine is the reward. Like you go and do something and you get dopamine, or like I swipe on TikTok and I get dopamine hits. It's not actually it. Dopamine is what gives us the drive. It's what feeds the pursuit. We love chasing after the thing. But the reward we get, like in the end, the money or the accomplishment or the trophy or the sex or whatever it is an opioid system response.
Is that right? I didn't.
Yes.
Boy, opioids have been a awful, horrible thing for America. I mean, unbelievable.
So the lesson in that is, I think, for me anyway, is I'm at my best when I'm restricting myself from receiving the rewards as much as possible and focusing on enjoying the pursuit of the reward. That shapes me. Yes, that shapes me into a different being as I proceed through life.
Well, I want to mention, though, speaking of pursuit of rewards, Ray Disney World with Lee and I. We went to Hollywood Studios, Galaxy's Edge. Here's what was significant about it is, for one, it was the first time either Ray or Lee had been to Galaxy's Edge, but it was the first time in all of these years of working together, Lee and I had been to any of the Disney parks together, other than a brief time at Epcot where we snuck in backstage just to have dinner. So that was pretty significant. And Ray can tell you how great Galaxy's Edge is. And if you would like to visit Galaxy's Edge, you should call our friends at Magical Vacation Planner. You can reach them at 407-442-2694 or visit leecockerell.com, and you'll see a banner right there on the website. And in fact, Ray, as we're speaking, put on a Magical Vacation Planner hat because they gave them away at the last Creating Magic Mastermind. And so, Ray, I appreciate the support you're giving to MVP.
I appreciate the hat. I appreciate what these folks do. And I appreciate you guys. I'm glad you brought up the mastermind. I appreciate you inviting me to be there. That was the most enjoyable and powerful mastermind meeting I've been to in a very long time. And the level of quality of the people who were in the room there was off the charts amazing. What a great event you put together. And Lee, I think that's a tribute to you and who you are and the way you bring together a great group of folks and form a community. So thank you for that.
One last question I have for you. Thank you. How does the writing the letter to yourself play out and trying to get other things done in your life? Or when I say you sold yourself, is that about how you sell a product or how you sell?
Yes. So I have this framework I use to sell products and services and ideas. It's called the Pastor Framework. You can find it free all over the web, apparently, and also on my website. So it's good to go to the website of the guy who invented it. But I use that framework to write this letter, and I've written one to myself every year since then. And so I just, instead of just setting goals, like some people just will say, here's 10 things I want this year, I'm going to write them down and hope they happen. I set intentions, and I fuel those intentions by evoking what's the problem that I'm experiencing that makes me want to change this thing, have this goal. What's the pain that having the problem causes? And then I want to amplify that and amp it up and say to myself, look, if you don't solve this, this is where you're going to end up. If you don't solve this health problem, you're going to end up fat, sick, broke, eventually dead, and disgraced. That's wow. The letter I wrote to myself was harsh, but I know myself. I had to get my attention.
Do you still write copy for clients? Are you still in that business?
Yes. I love it.
Tell them, make sure you give us their website so people can go look if they have a need for that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Just rayedwards.com. Very simple.
That's pretty simple.
That's easy enough. rayedwards.com. And Ray has a podcast titled The Ray Edwards Show.
I'm a modest, humble guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Well, mine is close. Jody Mayberry Show. We have that in common, except I didn't think it'd be right to call my podcast The Ray Edwards Show.
I'm okay with that. If you want to do that, just go ahead.
We would love it if you're back at our next mastermind in October. You added so much to the group.
I plan to be there. I want to spend some more time with Lee and with you and the other folks who'll be at the mastermind. It was a great experience. And if anybody's considering it and thinking about it, stop thinking about it. Just get signed up and let's meet there.
Thanks. We'll write a good letter that we learned from you how to make them not be able to not come.
Yes.
Yes. There you go. There you go. Well,
we'll call it "Come to the Mastermind or Die."
I'm going to absolve myself from any legal responsibility for what happens.
Wow.
Okay.
With that statement, Lee just added a whole different perspective to the work I do. My goodness. All right. Well, you can find Ray at rayedwards.com. If you want to find out more about the mastermind, go to leecockerell.com and look around. You can get more information. Until next week, go out and create magic for others.